Hey, Stefan, everybody else too. I'm going to do some more work on the monomyth. And Stefan, you replied to me that I want to talk about something, how you start reading these, trying to play them out in your mind, but you keep getting sucked back into the physical understanding of it, lack of understanding. Okay, my name is Dan Paulson, everybody. Welcome to the video. I'll post a video or post a link below to the video precursor to this. All right, Stefan, Isaiah is big, it's complicated, it's old. There are easier ways to learn the monomyth. I'm going to do some stuff with Isaiah right now and Mark and the monomyth itself. What we're really looking for here is a monomyth with stages. If we looked at Joseph Campbell's template, look at this right here. He's got 17 stages of a monomyth. You know what? That's wrong. That's all he identified. He didn't figure it all out. Isaiah is a monomyth. How many chapters? How many steps? 66 steps. Not 17, 66 steps. However, they don't have to be that big. We go to the book of Mark, same teaching. Same teaching. What do we have? 16 chapters. That's it. 16 chapters, 16 steps. So and if we go to like a Greek, the voyage of Argo, as they're going from island to island to island, each one of those is a step along the monomyth. And as Jesus is walking around going from place to place to place, those are stages on the monomyth. Now, a monomyth it's a healing process. So you could spot one where when the disciples and Jesus get to that fig tree that's not producing fruit. I use that one a lot because it's an easy one. Why did Jesus kill a fig tree that wasn't producing fruit when he was hungry, instead of just making it heavily laden with figs if he was hungry? And he had the power. I mean, why would you do that? I am hungry. I can turn this tree's not producing. I'm going to kill it. It just doesn't make sense. So you have to turn stuff like that inward, and you become the person that is that's a healing stage along the way, teaching you that something is growing from your garden that's not producing, it's not feeding you, it's not good for you. It's something that you need to fast as to the world from. There's things that we're doing in life that you need to go, I have to simplify. I got too much going on. I can't figure out what's happening. I need to let go of some obligations, and there's other things that are just sucking the life out of me. I got to get rid of that stuff. This right here is a teaching step. Then they move on to the next step. That's how the monomyth is going to work. You go from place to place to place and go, what does that mean right there? This is a healing. That's something else going on. So they're all healing steps along the way, leading up to a rebirth. My suggestion here to learn it would be to start with something smaller. Let's talk about a couple things here. Let's take a look at your comment. Thank you, brother, for this video. I know there's something I need to look into regarding Isaiah, but I don't know what exactly or where to start. When I dive into the material, I often get caught up quickly in the whole story, and it becomes a distraction. Instead of turning inward, by the end of the chapter, I notice my mind has gotten entangled and turned the focus outward. The material really carries such a strong external tone that if I'm not careful, I easily get drawn in that direction. I'm really looking forward to this topic because through your explanations and video material, I'm able to keep my focus on what is truly important. Much love and peace. Stefan, thank you. And it's my pleasure, and love and peace back to you, brother. Hope your family, wife and kids are doing good. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I want to make very clear here, that there's very simple ways of learning this and there's super complex ways of learning it. And there's evolution of the stories over time. The Old Testament Jewish material, these stories were monstrous. If you can imagine, I don't know, they must have had a lot of time, things on their hands. It was very important for them to have these stories huge. You get around to Roman times and things are probably looking more like, life isn't the same anymore. We're a lot busier. We got more things going on. We're starting to develop more things and all of that. We don't have the same kind of time anymore. These stories are still there. The template is still there. People know it needs to stay in place. They create new stories off of it. But it's like, we can't have 66 chapters of something that is animals filling the land up. And you're like, I don't get what that means. However, we can have short stories about weeds, thistles, and figs growing from your garden. Suddenly you're like, okay, that becomes very reachable to me. Both of them are doing the same thing, but they're so far apart from each other in time that the older Old Testament material is going to be very thick. It's the hardest. It's like saying, I want to learn to fly. Let's go jump in the cockpit of a 747 or something and get started. Whoa, wrong thing. We got to start smaller. And the reason you get sucked outside is because that's the way our brain works. That's the way our brain works. You're literally doing this. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. You have to do it yourself. You have to teach yourself to do this. That is why anybody who tells you what it's all about is wrong. You have to see it for yourself. Your brain is going to do things like this. I'm going to show you an example of something, a comment from a Taoist here that I was researching long ago. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. I did not have that figured out. I was like, what does that mean? I'm looking for things, and this is what I find at first.
So what is the way, I hear you ask? Well, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it can't be explained. The first two lines of the poem say, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. What this is trying to allude to is that the Tao, the world, ourselves, are not things that can be fully understood with the intellect alone.
All right, my mind is very compartmentalized. Things pop up. If your brain does this, it'll do the same thing. I listened to that right there, and the first thing I did is I flashed back to being a kid in Sunday school, asking questions and them saying, just pay it. You can't understand it. Just read it. That's just the way it is. That's exactly what I heard right there in a different flavor. But it's like, what do you mean? It can't be. And you know what? Guess what? It is 100% intellectual. When he says you can't understand it intellectually, what he is this to Taoism, the same thing a Christian is to Jesus. I haven't entered the narrow gate. This is what it is. This is what it says. You don't really know what it says. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, means the eternal Tao is the one that is taken by the person. It's an inward mental path right there. It is 100% mental. He hasn't entered the narrow gate. He's not turning it inward. He's not interpreting it. Most people don't, but you're going to see that. When you see people say you can't understand it, you just have to believe it, that's a rabbit hole to walk away from. All right, this is how we figure it out. Intellect. And when people say, get your intellect out of there, yeah, those are the people that can't figure it out. You're figuring out the stuff. You're the rare person. They're all carrying this package for us, no matter where you are in the world. It has, hero with 1,000 faces. Joseph Campbell did know they were all monomyths. He just didn't have the steps and things like that figured out, and he didn't have he didn't have cyclical pain and other things like that figured out. Struggle to leave the past. There are many parts in here that we have to cover. Okay, but he also didn't get that there was a human life template before then, and that there's a creation that everybody in the world right now is somewhere in one of these templates. You're living in this template somewhere. It can be a guide to your life because it's made on the way life works. That's how the template works. But learning to turn inward with it, then there's nobody that can do that for you. I can tell you what to do and how to structure it, but without you going in and structuring it in, you can get the instructions. That's not the eternal Tao. It's the real Tao. The Tao that can be told is the real Tao, but it's not the eternal Tao. The eternal means now mine. It is for me. It is for me. It's a part of me. This is where it becomes totally unique. The seeker is not following anybody. When somebody's telling, what would this be if I listened to him? That'd be the blind leading the blind. He's telling me it can't be understood intellectually, and I go, okay. I have to sit there and think, did somebody write this in such a way that it's so complicated that I can never figure it out? Or is it never supposed to make sense? Did they write something that was supposed to just keep me occupied through life, or is there something in there for me? I start looking at it differently and think, some human being wrote this. I don't believe that it came from some magical, mystical source I believe there's something in there that I'm supposed to get access to. And if I go talk to the master, Lao Tzu, and I say, Master, my life sucks. Please help. What happened? What can I do? And he starts right off the bat. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. He's letting me know right there, my words are meaningless. You must go and make them yours. They go from academic to experiential when you live them. We have to do that with our brains. That's why it automatically shifts back outward, shifts back out. What you're doing actually is learning to gradually shift it inward. That's what's actually happening. Okay, just to illustrate that very quickly, I'll go through this because I've learned it to this degree. I know it like this now. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be not named is not the eternal name. This is letting me know that this pathway is going to be mine personally. This is going to be my personal path, and that that at some point in time in the beginning there is a void with no names. What are names? Names are memories. The unnameable is the eternally real. This is like a void, like a pure conscious state. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. There, first sin. Naming is the origin of all particular things. We are now beginning to have life experiences. You see how they look different, though. This one is telling me right here, very carefully, naming. I'm not naming things in the world. I'm naming them in my mind, but I'm not naming a wheelbarrow, a house. I'm naming, that sucks. Up yours. I'm ashamed. I like that. That's what we're naming. We are becoming a product of our experiences and our emotion attached to the experience, the accumulation. Gia Fu Feng says the named is the mother of 10,000 things. Do you see how he will never access and know that this is an inward path as long as he can't get that first verse? Free from desire, you realize the mystery. And I'm covering this because this is exactly the material that is going to be in the Abrahamic material. This is the simplest way I can describe it to you. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Free from hanging on to things, you realize the mystery of life. It flows. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Caught in those memories, you see them cyclically repeat over and over again. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. Yes, the good and the bad come from our decision-making processes. The source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. That's the narrow gate, entering the narrow gate, turning inward. We need to, this is 100% mental, and if you listen to somebody say it's not, you'll never, ever understand what it truly is. All right, the reason I'm going through all this repetitively again like this is because this is really the core. No matter where you go, this is what's going to be easy to see. What do we have here? Let's just make some comparisons between Lao Tzu and Jesus right here on the same thing. Do they sound the same? They really don't until you look at them in a certain way. Let's go ahead and, there we go. All right, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Jesus does not say that. Abrahamic material at this level is, I don't know if it's, Paul will tell you. Paul gives instructions later on, but right here in these, in Jesus, Sermon on the Mount, Sermon on the Plain, it does not really tell you it's a mental. You just go into it saying, I'm going to treat it the same way. Okay, one of them does actually. The very first verse of one of them says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. All right, well, let's just look at these and make some comparisons, actually. I'll quit talking. The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not, lest you be judged, for the judgment with which you judge others will be judged likewise unto you. That's kind of a stretch. The unnameable is the eternally real. Don't judge anything. Naming is the origin of all particular things. When you do judge it, it will return back to you. Whatever you name is going to cyclically reoccur. All of it. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Okay, that would be, blessed are the poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of God. Free from desire, blessed are the poor in spirit, your bundle of memories. You realize the mystery. Kingdom of God. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Judge not, lest you be judged, for the judgment with which you judge others will be judged likewise unto you. In fact, I rethought that and came back and looked at it again. The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not. You hear this, judge not, lest you be judged. Remember that, right? The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not. Unnamed. Judge. Don't judge it. Don't name it. The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations, lest you be judged. Once you've named something, yeah. See the similarities. You got to do the brain work to get there. And it's hard to treat Jesus with that kind of objectivity. Here's another one. It's kind of spot on. One of Lao Tzu's saying is, we shape clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. Jesus has one that says, wash the inside of the cup, because the one who made the inside, or made the outside, also made the inside. Right there we have it. We're the pot, and it's inside of us. Whatever we've learned is what we're holding. Whether we want it or not, that's what we've got. Cup, same thing. We are the cup. What is inside the cup? They're using different verbiage to teach the same thing. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. This source is called darkness, darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. I don't know that I get that out of Jesus. I'm not sure. I would get that out of the Old Testament. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. The good and the bad always come from where? Where do we come from? If I'm not wanting bad things to happen, where the hell does the energy come from for them to keep happening? Okay, all of this is telling us that life is going to continue to experience. You got power to live as long as you've judged these memories up here and you're living through those. And gateway to understanding, enter the narrow gate. Yeah, Jesus teaches the same thing in different language. But you have to understand Jesus and not worship Jesus in order to get there. If you're a Christian straight up, I don't think you are following Jesus, if anybody's there. If you follow Jesus, at some point you're like, okay, I see something different going on in here. The only way you can understand and interact with this material is to put your consciousness into the role of Jesus or Christ. If you cannot do that or will not do that, you won't get there. That's as simple as that. Stefan, I have to remember this is to you, but you can see sometimes I talk to like the whole crowd too. So I keep forgetting. That's my habit. Okay. So the important point here is that's a core teaching right here. And from that teaching right there, then that whole kind of thing right there, they begin building a monomyth. But there's more detail that goes into it. There's going to be a called person. There's that isolation that happens right there. Typically, you're not going to have a childhood. Jesus doesn't have one, does he? He gets called and it's time to go. Jason, he's born, set aside, just like Jesus. No childhood, time to go. Moses, held out, saved as a child, but no real life up to childhood. Just suddenly he's an adult and called, and there's like no childhood. What happened? He was just raised by Pharaoh. Okay. So as we get into the myths, then there's different ones. Isaiah. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was getting at right here. My question is then, do you want to go at Isaiah? Look at this is what makes it difficult. The realm of comprehension where we are with respect to shifting the analogous verbiage. We're very far removed from their frame of thinking. If you said, for example, there are thistles in the garden, that would be equivalent to saying there are swine in the land. There's something in there that is not good. You could say that if you're in the Jewish material. If not, if you're someplace that eats pigs, that won't make any sense. So, the analogs then become something that at some point in time when you go to, let's take a look here. All right, you know what I've done? I've jumped to Genesis. I need to speed this up and not go. I've already done the work on this one right here. You see right here where look at what is happening. Chapter 12, this is where Abram and Sarai start. This is the beginning of this is not a monomyth. This is a life cycle myth. This is after creation, but us as children. Abram and Sarai in a land of famine is equivalent to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden before eating, before consuming. And then what happens is this is that place where the Lord leaves. The Lord just disappears after getting things set up and going. That, like Cain left the Lord in chapter 4, that represents us losing contact with we're starting to live through our memories and not through our higher awareness anymore. We're not living through the Lord, through God. We're starting to sin, is what that represents. And sin, what is sin? Sinning is the origin of all things. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Sinning is the origin of all particular things. Sinning means you're now judging life, not understanding cause and effect, and you're making decisions that are left unresolved upstairs. It doesn't mean you're going out there and beating up people or stealing from them or doing something like that. It means that you yourself you might have had a fine life and got molested, and now you hate that son of a bitch so bad that you want to kill him. That right there's a sin, because that's something that you're going to live through, that it's always going to be a turmoil in your mind as long as it's there. So we got to disconnect from that. Sin is not what we think it is. Sin is naming. Think about that. How could it be that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God? For all have lived life judging experiences and lost contact with their higher awareness. But what happens down here as after all of that deed happens, and what do they pick up along the way? We would have to know this at a very deep level. Sheep is repeated 18 times. Sheep is not good. Oxen is 5 times. Those are good things. These are qualities that we have inside of us, like like thistles and figs, sheep and oxen, asses, men servants, 8. You don't want men servants. Why not? Men servants are qualities that are strong, that take over. That would be like, the raucous gods in Babylonian, or the giants that the Nephilim that came about as a result of the union of God and the daughters of men servants. These are qualities you don't want. These are bad things. Maid servants, those would be like what? The beautiful daughters of 5. That's good. The beautiful daughters of men. She asses, good. Camels, 25, good. So this right here is telling us that this is what we are gathering. But are they good or are they bad? They all represent something at a layer that you look at and go, holy smokes, I get what they're doing now, but I had to reverse engineer that from other stuff. You're realizing, okay, this accumulation of things this is your inner self accumulating things, some good stuff, some bad stuff from early life, and then we move on from there until it goes bad. And the calling happens when God reappears. That signifies us reconnecting with our higher awareness. In chapter 17, and Abraham and Sarah are made from Abram and Sarai. That represents my early life is done. I am now turning inward. I am now this person. I am now going to go in and kick ass and take names. I'm going to go destroy Sodom. Yeah, Sodom's my early belief system. It becomes very difficult, but so you can see the big pieces. You know that is accumulation of things, but you don't know whether they're good or bad. The story has layers to it that are deeper than what you have to do what I'm doing. They had them memorized. That's why we're not accessing this. That's why it's so far away. We get to Jesus suddenly and it's like, okay, figs, thistles, seeds, okay, that never changes. What's good, what's bad for the garden. Those become very simple to follow by comparison. All right, if we start off with Isaiah, what do we have here? The ox knows his owner. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people doth not consider. So what we have happening here is the ox being repeated 7 times throughout there, and the ass repeated 3 times. The only way we would know this is to use the computer or to have it memorized so well that you would know that. They did. We don't. We're stuck. We're like behind a door and I guarantee I'm not going to sit in my lifetime and memorize this at this point just to access that. I know I can use the computer now, but it makes it very difficult to access this. But we do see the ox knows his owner and the ass his master's crib. Oh, that's good stuff right there. But Israel does not know, my people does not consider. This is the bad inner self emerging, all those bad qualities right there. But we're going to get down here and find out there's more in here. I don't know that we're going to have something that's different. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devoured in your presence. And it is desolate, is overthrown by strangers. That's your early life. And you look back and go, how the hell did I live like that? Why was I so stupid? You know what? We're just growing up through life. It's normal stuff where we come from. I can think back on some pretty idiotic things I've done in my life, or said or done to people, or said to people that I look back on and go, what a moron was I? Okay, that's it right there. That is our country desolate, cities burned with fire. See how difficult it is to access, and the turning inward makes it so starkly different that people go, no, that can't be it. That's too simple. It is. The stories are so complicated on a very simple template. But getting through these to the template is difficult because we don't know what those analogs are. We have to do this kind of research. Again, Jesus, simple stuff. So there was a verse you did ask about. Let me check on that one. It was in Isaiah.
If you take a look on Isaiah 43:1, I was thinking about something when he's saying, "Thus says the Lord," something. Jacob, Israel, I redeemed you, I summoned you by your name, your mine. And in this terms, name may be representing higher. It's a question. Yes, it's a question. It's better to say that. What do you think about it? Is it maybe that name can represent like higher consciousness?
Okay, yeah. The Lord is always going to be this higher awareness, always. God, Lord, the higher awareness, no matter what, it's going to be that. It can be nothing else. A couple things here is 40 and 3. It rained for 40 days, 40 nights. That was pure time. 3 is one of our numbers of the 3-7 grid. I just want to point that out here. This is going to be a pure state. And it's at 43, I don't know what's happening in the story, but it looks like something's been happening. And the higher awareness is saying, oh, Jacob, that would be if you become Abraham. And then what happens? Abraham dies off and we have Isaac, and then we have Jacob. Those are all iterations of us going in and healing again. Jacob is us. The Lord that created you, O Jacob, and he that formed you. Yes, we emerge from there. O Israel, fear not. Okay, remember, this is for us, the Israelites. It's supposed to be written for me. If I was somewhere else, I would not care about this story. But if I'm an Israelite, it's on that template. It's going to teach me if I'm the kind of person that can get inside of it. It is here for me. O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. So this is obviously then after a purging has happened. Like after the flood has happened, there's a fresh start. I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name and you are mine. So obviously we are reconnected with the higher awareness right there. That's how I would interpret it. Whether that's right or wrong or not, it fits consistently with everything else that I'm doing here. And that it falls in line with that if we practice and practice and practice that. Lord and God is always this higher awareness. You get up there and, that's the part where you can sit there in meditation or somewhere. You're outside of thought. There's nothing in your mind. There's no thoughts. You're sitting in a quiet place. Right there. Or when you're tossing and turning at night and something's trying to nudge you. Hey, let it go. You can slip over to the spot where you don't feel the emotional connection there. And that's always going to be the God element. That's where we need to get to. The consciousness is always going to be whoever the hero is. Whatever is bad and whatever is good and whatever needs to be destroyed is always represented by the bundle of thinking that we have. So that's why you go back to Lao Tzu, and it's like naming is the origin of 10,000 things. Free from that, you see the mystery. So it's just kind of letting you know, let it go, and your life is okay. Down here, you get into, okay, now you're caught up into it. You're stuck in these things. You can't let it go. Here's how you let it go. You're going to have to go on this adventure. You're going to go into a fight. There's a mental hierarchy, and you're going to have to go back in and fight against the forces of evil that actually are things that you are struggling to leave behind. The things that you sit there when it's quiet and you can't settle your mind and things are frazzled and all that. Those are all what makes those happen. There's something inside that drives that. You have to go isolate those and remove them, heal them. You can't remove them. You have to heal them. You have to resolve the hurt in a way that it no longer feels the emotional charge when you bring up the memory. And when it comes down to it, that's what the monomyth is going to be bringing us along the lines of doing. At the same time, that outer verbiage that you get continually sucked up into, that's for the masses. That's for the people that can't enter that narrow gate. That's for the person that says, it's just not something that is intellectual. It sure the hell is. But beyond that, once that's resolved, there's more to it than that. We're flowing in an emotional collective. You can almost look at emotions like little gravity waves. Shame and shame, hatred and hatred. There's all kinds of things that attract each other out there in our lives. And as we hold those memories with those, we're flowing in life that way. When we resolve those things, we cease to flow with those as part of our ruddering system. It still might not be right because we have more things to resolve. But as we continue to resolve those things, it changes the flow in life. It makes it so that you're no longer having those repetitive experiences that are, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. The energy's always there, no matter what. As long as you're alive and going through life in a collective of humans and you're holding that up here, it's going to continue to re-experience. It's a part of cause and effect, the cycles. Chris, if you're watching this, all those cycle things, you go all over the place. Cycles are a part of the process. If it's hinting towards being astronomical, astrological, anything like that, that's the outer shell. That's the non-interpreted part. The constellations and all the things happening out there are not controlling what's happening. What they're doing is utilizing those as elements in the story saying things cycle. See how things cycle? What did we have here in... Boy, where did I see this? Where is this? It's right in chapter 1, verse 13. Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination to me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting in the mind. in the mind, new moons. What are new moons? New moons are when the moon starts over. Your new moons and your appointed feasts, my soul hates. Your new moons, your continual cycle, your new cycles of things in your appointed feasts. What is the appointed feast? Well, your appointed feast might be something like screaming and yelling and feeling anger or hurting or something like that. That's not a good thing to eat. My soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. So we have cycles of pain right there. You know to look for it, you spot it. I'm going to talk you through the difficulty of the analogous verbiage, hiding motifs. What does that mean? There are people that look at myth and religions from antiquity and go, there's stuff that's shared. I see flood stories. I see times where somebody died and came back or was born to a virgin. There's common motifs. If you're on the outside, that's the only thing you can see. Once you get on the inside, you begin to see it open up much more. You begin to see things like God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and then they had first sin, and then God punished them by sending them out of the garden, and cyclical pain ensued by repeated pain through childbirth. Okay, then if you know you are those components, that means that you come from the higher awareness, that you start off in a pure state, and that life experiences begin to take you away from that place of happiness, and cyclical pain as a part of your life ensues, then you're on the inside of the understanding. Now, you take that same understanding and go to Greek myth and find out where Zeus created humans, and humans were ignorant. And Prometheus gave them fire, and Zeus didn't like that, said, nope, they don't get fire, you got to keep them primitive. But Prometheus gave them fire again, humans advanced, and as a result, Zeus punished Prometheus by having him chained to a cliff, and an eagle eats his liver out, and his liver grows back, and it eats it out. It's painful every time. Greeks thought the liver was the seat of emotion. So there's this emotional pain element right here that's happening. So Zeus is the higher self. God is the higher self. Humanity, people, is Adam and Eve. This is us. God wants Adam and Eve to not eat of anything. Zeus wants them to stay ignorant, doesn't want them to learn. However, they consume anyway through temptation. Prometheus gives them fire through temptation. This is us. Once you get on the inside, you see the motifs open up to where it's like, son of a... It's not just a flood story. Yeah, they're all the same. It blows your mind. Once you get on the inside, of comprehension. I mean, once you understand the template is what I mean when I say get on the inside. Once you realize that these are template steps, you begin to recognize, okay, the higher awareness is here, creating something that is in a pure state and wants it to stay that way, but it goes off and it experiences something anyway, and it gains something in life, and cyclical pain, I am that. Once you read them, you see that. You see it at that level. All right. Again, apologize for the duration. It really takes a lot to explain it because it is very big and it's very old. I think this would be very condensed if it was 5,000 years ago. They would say, "Tell us more." We got nothing to do. Life is so different; it's difficult. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Stefan, let me know what you want to do. Honestly, I think it would be a lot easier for us to go after Matthew to begin with, and. With everything on the table there, yeah, let me know. All right, talk to you later.